Boxmining says crypto scams are causing the dump, and he mentions Plus Token and Hex. In this video, I'm going to talk about how he's basically wrong, at least in particular in what he's saying about Hex. I mean, he's not necessarily wrong that the dump in the price or the dump that we had, this was done on the 18th, today's the 20th, I apologize. I'm recovering from a little bit of laryngitis, but I saw this video. Shout out to Bitcoin for Life. He first posted this video about Boxmining on his channel. By the way, I got a little bit of history with Boxmining's channel. I'll talk about that in a moment, but what he talks about right here is just absolutely ridiculous. Now, this was the day, I think, either the day this video went up or the day before, somewhere in there, we dropped down to like 6,800 Bitcoin. We're at 71 right now, sort of kind of recovering. We'll see where it ends up. But, I apologize. I saw this video and it was really disappointing. I'm currently subscribed to Boxmining. This was actually the very first cryptocurrency YouTuber that I ever subscribed to. Boxmining overall has a great channel. He is the best thing about his channel, period, end of story. There's no better YouTuber that covers the China markets than he does, because he understands, I don't know if he's actually Chinese, but he definitely understands like Mandarin or whatever, and he can read up on the forums, and he's actually, you know, on his channel, he sometimes analyzes what people are saying on some of the cryptocurrency forums in the Asian markets, which is super just interesting and helpful in trying to understand the broader market overall, because Asia has a huge impact, especially China has a huge impact on cryptocurrency markets and blockchain technologies. But he put out this video. This is unfortunate. Now, I wanted to point out something. His channel's Boxmining. When I first followed Boxmining, the very first thing he ever promoted was like Genesis mining, cloud mining. And he promoted it and shielded it in every video back then. And back then, by the way, you can see he's got an enormous channel, 196,000 subscribers. When I first started following him, I don't even think he had 5,000 subscribers. He might not have even had 1,000 yet. But his content was really good. And unfortunately, in this video, we'll just watch it. We'll just watch it, and I'll just break it down. If you don't know what the heck, well, let's just watch it. He's dead wrong about Hex. Wait a minute. He's actually probably right. I think Hex token has pushed the market down, or at least the creator, Richard Hart. But we'll get to that more in a moment. And by the way, full disclosure, as of this video, I currently do not own any Hex tokens. So I'm as unbiased as you can be. I do not own Hex tokens at all at this moment during this video, period. And I'm not 100% in love with the project at all. If you followed any of my videos, I've covered this token about 3 different times. I mean, I try to be as fair as I can. And I try to be unbiased in my commentary. But let's just get into what Boxmining says. And this is sad on his part, but let's go ahead.
Significant, albeit small, negative impact on the price of Bitcoin. Now, next we have Hex, which has been discussed a lot on the cryptocurrency landscape. Like, I've been looking at conversations for this.
Sorry about that. I don't think you guys are able to hear that. Let me back that up.
Calculations that they've done. Token transfers. Token definitely did have a significant, statistically significant, albeit small, negative impact on the price of Bitcoin. Now, next we have Hex, which has been discussed a lot on the cryptocurrency landscape. Like, I've been looking at conversations for this past week, and a lot of people have been rightfully so calling Hex as a scam.
If you're going to say a lot of people have been rightfully so calling Hex a scam, then you damn sure better in your video, if you're going to have any integrity in your commentary, you better show that it's a scam. Now I'm going to go ahead and tell you in advance, he is not going to show that, and it is so disappointing that he doesn't show that. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and give him a thumbs down on his video. I'm not going to unsubscribe from the guy I like his video, but this is just not a great video, this part. The irony is, when he was talking to Plus Token in here, I mean, he had all these charts up, he was talking, you could tell that he had done a little bit of research to put his information together. But he hasn't done squat for research right here. But let's keep going. And by the way, when he says there's been a lot of conversations, there's been a lot of people talking about it, but nobody's talked about it more than the creator of Hex, Richard Hart. And he has covered, I mean, there's so many videos where he's interviewed so many people, so many, Rajat Ver, Omar Brahm, whoever that guy is. I'm not even sure. He's like an OG Bitcoiner. I mean, I watched it. It was a great stream. Crypto Crow, Larry and Joe. I can't even say this guy's last name, but it was also this is actually a pretty good. I didn't finish watching, as you can see. It was a pretty good interview as well. Ian Bellina, Peter McCormick. This was terrible. I mean, he destroyed Peter McCormick. Well, actually, where'd that happen? That happened first, somewhere over here. But anyway, he's destroyed everybody in every debate. I mean, no one can logically find logical fault with the token for the most part. You can, and no one's. It's not a scam in the fact of there's nothing misrepresented. Richard Hart has absolutely represented what the token is, and basically he's essentially, it's a model where you get rewarded in inflation for holding the token, similar to what you would think of in some cases with masternodes, but it's not to that degree. And there's a certain table of inflation, and there's a table you can look up in order to get inflation, you have to lock up your coins for so long. But the issue is he charges for the coins, kind of like EOS did when they did their year-long ICO, essentially. And he's making a lot of money, and a lot of people don't necessarily like that. Look, it didn't feel great in a way because I couldn't figure out what's he actually selling. But at the end of the day, if you want to buy his token and you want to pay Ethereum for it, that's on you. All right, let's get back. It just bugs me. He's like, it's definitely a scam. It's not a scam. He's clueless. Let's keep going.
Now, in terms of investment amount, it's not the biggest amount possible. But what I think really Hex is having a negative impact on.
By the way, it's about $5 or $6 million right now of Ethereum that people have used to purchase Hex. That's not a small amount either, just so you know.
Is confidence in this space. Because unfortunately with Hex, it's your classic get rich.
Okay, wait a minute. I gotta say this. Let's listen to this again. This is so bad. Boxmining, get your crap together. This is such a horrible. Listen to what he says here.
Space, because unfortunately with
he said Hex is causing people to lose confidence, and now this is his explanation of a scam. It's causing people to lose confidence, and why is it causing people to lose confidence?
What I think really Hex is having a negative impact on is confidence in this space. Because unfortunately with Hex, it's your classic get rich quick scheme. I mean, a lot of the wording on the website, if you look at it, it's constantly talking about very strong returns on investment every day. If you just kind of like, let me look at this.
First of all, the only area that he does kind of sort of talk about returns, he says it's designed to do over 10,000% in returns. And if you go watch his interview, he explains this extremely well. He talks about that Bitcoin has done like 750,000x. And he's talking about the design of the token, the gamification or the game theory in the token, the way it's set up, basically. There's a strong incentive to always hodl the token. And if people hodl the token, then the theory or the idea that Richard Hex is trying to do, I mean, he's literally created a token where the whole goal is to cause the market value of the token over time to go up. That's the whole mechanic of it. And I think that's the part that doesn't sit well with people, is there's not some higher use case. But Richard Hart's explanation is people say that Bitcoin is digital gold. And I've got to tell you something. I've had no less than 3 comments in the past week on various videos on my channel where people try to tell me I didn't understand Bitcoin, that Bitcoin was digital gold. Well, I'm here to tell you, Bitcoin was never designed to only be digital gold. That might be what it is today because the use case hasn't been mass adopted. But Richard Hart's argument is that's all Bitcoin's good for. And I don't 100% agree with that, but that's what he says. He is right that is primarily what Bitcoin has been used for. Its number one use case today has been a speculative asset in the cryptocurrency space. That is, most people have owned Bitcoin wanting to profit from the price going up by and large. I don't even think that's in dispute right now. The difference is that's not the reason Bitcoin was created. However, that is the reason that Richard Hart created Hex. He created Hex to create a scenario through inflation where you would want to hold the token. And if everybody wants to hold the token, then there's going to be a lot more buyers than sellers, literally. And from that standpoint, it's going to be, it's an interesting experiment to see if it works, but it could work. And that's what he means when he says it's designed to do 10,000 extra returns. He's not guaranteeing you that you're going to make that. And he's very clear about that. When he says it's designed, that's exactly what he's talking about. The smart contract, the Ethereum smart contract, is an ERC20 token. The smart contract is designed to go up to 10,000x.
Hex is the opportunity of a lifetime designed to do over 10,000x returns in under 2.5 years. Now you can see some similarities between Plus and Hex in the sense that Plus, they're promising high returns, low risk to investors, and the same thing goes.
See, this is where Boxmining's wrong. He says he's watched a lot of this, but he hasn't watched anything Richard Hart has done. Because Richard Hart tells people over and over and over again, every cryptocurrency has went down to 85 to 95%. Hex will probably go down as well. I mean, he blatantly says that. So again, I don't even own Hex. Okay, please understand. Like, this is so ridiculous that Boxmining is saying this.
Here, you have high return on investors. You can.
In other words, Richard Hart never claims low risk. He says it's extremely high risk.
See, in terms of Hex, what they're saying is, oh, there's no risk at all. But the biggest problem, of course, is Hex to fiat.
Nowhere in here does it say there's no risk at all. Trustless. Nowhere in here. He just said it said no risk. Someone show me where it says on here no risk at all. I mean, again, here's what's happening. He's literally just making a video because people are talking about it, and I get it. There's nothing wrong with that. Every YouTuber in this space, like, you should totally find out what people are talking about and get in front of that, give your opinion on it. I get that, but at least try to do a tiny bit of research in the process. He says it shows, oh, no risk. No, it doesn't. He's heard that from somebody else. He's not heard that on Richard Hart's channel.
There's no guarantee that Hex will go up or even retain the same amount of value. It's all money paid by investors through the adoption amplifier. That's what they're calling it. That doesn't go back to kind of increase the value of Hex or go back to Hex holders. That goes straight to an address, an Ethereum address, a private Ethereum address that we all know Richard Hart owns.
Okay, we all assume Richard Hart owns. There's no proof of that, by the way. But yes, it's safe to assume that Richard Hart probably does own it, but Richard Hart can't say that he cannot say that, otherwise it would be considered an investment. He's trying to stay above board on regulators. I have a whole video about that. And I think that his issue is not probably going to be the SEC. It might end up being the FTC potentially, who knows. But that, I mean, he does carry some regulatory risk. So trying to avoid that risk, he will not say who owns it. However, it's safe to say he probably does own it.
So, in many senses, that's not a Ponzi because, well, Ponzi is you pay back investors, but here you don't even get paid back.
Wait a minute, wait. This is absolutely stupid. This is so frustrating. By that same logic, Bitcoin's a Ponzi. Because if you lose, when you spend dollars to buy Bitcoin, I mean, this makes no sense. There's no guarantee when you come out of Bitcoin that you're going to get your money back. I mean, you spend Ethereum to buy Hex. You can always sell Hex later for Ethereum on an open exchange, just like Bitcoin. I mean, it's crazy. Let's back up. Listen to that again.
Ethereum address that we all know Richard Hart owns. So, in many senses, that's not a Ponzi because, well, Ponzi is you pay back investors, but here you don't even get paid back. And that's
Wait a minute. EOS didn't pay you back either, by the way. EOS doesn't pay you. I mean,
sanity of it. Only one address, one person gets paid. That's Richard Hart. And I think the reason why we see a lot of noise talking about Hex is because Richard Hart, he's got a history of being called the spam master.
Okay. That's irrelevant to the freaking, oh my goodness. That is irrelevant to the issue. I will cover that in a moment when I know of it anyway. And it's not wrong, by the way. But are we going to judge people by their past, for God's sakes? I get it. Richard Hart is absolutely money motivated. The guy, I'm sorry, he's not a saint. So the problem is this is such bad analysis on Boxmining's part. Anyway, he talks about the Ethereum goes to one address and you don't get anything back. The Ethereum goes to one address in EOS and every other ICO, and you got nothing back in exchange for it. Just hopes and promises. You didn't even know what they were creating. You didn't even know what they were going to do. At least in Richard Hart's case, he's like, hey, it's fully deployable. It's here. They're not making some lofty pie in the sky. Here's what this token's going to do as far as real world use cases. He just says, we've tried to design something that should go up in value. Here's the math behind it. You can take a look at it yourself. Here's how it works. Let's see if it works. If people choose to buy into that, who cares? He's not misleading anybody. Period. Now let me tell you what's happening. I'm going to go ahead and say this. He talked about Hex. He's yet to say what the negative effect Hex has had on Bitcoin. Let me tell you the negative effect Hex has had on Bitcoin. Richard Hart has done more than anybody else to totally discredit Bitcoin as a cryptocurrency, period, today. Like, nobody else has done a better job of discrediting Bitcoin. If you go watch his interviews, he over and over states the problems with Bitcoin. There's all these Bitcoin maximalists, and none of them can disagree with him. In fact, in a lot of cases, they're like, yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. That is a problem. Yeah, you're right. That is a problem. And so, and I think ultimately it's good for Bitcoin because I hope ultimately he's shining a bright spotlight on some areas that hopefully there'll be some improvements made in Bitcoin and the Bitcoin, core protocol or whatever. Hopefully those improvements are made, and he's highlighting them for basically average people. And I think there's a lot of people that you're holding Bitcoin, you're listening to Richard Hart, and you're like, why am I holding so much Bitcoin? I should diversify here. I mean, that is a logical conclusion to get to when you hear him dismantle Bitcoin so easily, and nobody can prove that he's wrong. He has very logical, just go watch his channel. He has very logical discussions about what's wrong with Bitcoin. And if you want to see some entertainment, anything that has Peter McCormick in it, he destroys this guy on every level. But, even this one here with Omar. Omar clearly was like, I don't fully agree with Hex, but Omar's like, he said, I can't tell you how many times he said, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. And that's what's hurt the market more than anything else, is that people are losing belief in what Bitcoin is supposed to be, because Richard Hart adequately puts out there that there's been very little development to Bitcoin. Very little. Very few developers are developing extensively on Bitcoin right now in this moment. Everybody talks about scam projects. Oh, they're missing the roadmap. They're missing the roadmap. Bitcoin's missing their roadmap as well, and Richard Hart points that out. Let's keep going.
In the past, he's been building spam bots, creating noise for himself, and he knows exactly how to create that attention. So the fact that we see there's discussion talking about Hex, it could be all manufactured by one person, because, well, it doesn't really take many bots, to make a lot of noise.
Listen to what he is saying. I'm over it, dude. All right. Oh, unsubscribe. I'm over it. I'm over it. I'm over it. Not that I will never resubscribe, but I'm over it. That is so stupid. Oh my God, I'm over it. He's claiming the reason that Richard Hart's making so much noise is because he's probably using spam bots. Okay. Richard Hart's history is, in the past, and he talked about it in one of his interviews. Somebody asked about him, and he was very open with it. He used spam. He used spam as marketing tactics. Now, we're talking about way back before spam was even technically illegal. However, it did become illegal at some point. And by the way, if you don't know the history of spam and internet marketing, everybody used to use spam. Every major company in the world, before it was illegal, everybody used spam. In fact, truthfully, there's a lot of companies that still do use it. That's neither here nor there, but it does. But most of your spammers, ironically, an enormous amount of your spammers are like, there's actual companies in like Russia and stuff that do spam, and American companies reach out to those companies, so and it prevents them from getting sued. Richard Hart was one of, if not the first person ever in the world to get sued for violating spam laws. That part is true. The man today probably doesn't do spam at all. Why would you? It would be so stupid. You're all over the internet. People know your past. You wouldn't do that. and there's no proof that Hex has ever been, no one's ever said, oh, I got this spam email about Hex, from, Richard Hart or whatever. And here, Boxmining's sitting here talking about, oh, it's probably bots. See, here's the problem. People are listening to this guy looking for credible analysis, yet he's just regurgitating stuff that makes not even logical sense. Like, he couldn't even remotely defend himself right now. If I debated Boxmining right now, he would be slaughtered right now. I mean, there's not even a shred of intelligence that's taking place. But let's keep going.
And especially right now in this period where we don't have that much news, it's easy to dominate the news. And the other discussion topic is that there's a lot of...
But by the way, he still has not said why Hex was hurting the market. He said, oh, it might be, it's presented like it's a classic get-rich-quick scheme. Okay, so that's hurt the market how? I mean, the real reason it's hurt the market is because Richard Hart's doing interviews talking about Hex, and he's destroying Bitcoin along the way.
Ethereum already network activity being sent to these Hex origin addresses. But one thing I'm pointing out is that this doesn't have to be real users or real people. It could be just one person, namely Richard Hart. He could be sending himself that money to give the illusion of success.
This is so stupid. There is so many, you can trace it down on the blockchain, and I guess you could attempt to argue that Richard Hart could be using so many addresses. The man has 40,000 of his own subscribers. There's several YouTube videos of guys who are buying Hex, talking about buying Hex on a day-to-day basis. There's an affiliate program with Hex. It makes sense that people would be promoting it. This is grasping for straws to the highest order. And it's unfortunate because I'm here to tell you, Boxmining has a good channel. Like, he's got some good content on his channel. Of all the big YouTubers, like, he's the one I've enjoyed watching the most. Which I will tell you, he's only got 9,000 views. That doesn't go real well for his channel. I mean, that's a small percentage, so his video is not doing real well on his channel.
And this is something that we have to be very mindful of. Even though we see transparent transactions that are going into his addresses that are buying Hex, we have no guarantee that these are real people and real supporters. So the last topic, it relates to China. So right now, China...
Just so you know, there's like thousands of transactions going to that address. Hundreds, if not thousands, of addresses going. That is a lot of work for someone to do. That is even, he's like, oh, look, it might not be as successful as you think. It could be a whole bunch of other people sending Ethereum to another address. That's just ridiculous.
And its operations and crypto operations, they're in a state of fear.
Okay, so now he's talking about China, and honestly, this is probably going to be really good content. His China content is some of his best. Sorry, Boxmining, mega fail on Hex token. Just mega fail. Do a little research next time. Go listen. I mean, at the very least, listen to what the guy has to say. Reach out to him. He'll probably have you on his channel. He'll probably talk to you. It'll be good for your channel. I mean, he's got 40,000 subscribers. You got 200,000 subscribers. He's got 25% of what you got. So it's going to expose a whole bunch of people to your channel that currently don't know about your channel at all. So that's really good. I've reached out to Richard Hart personally to try to talk to him. And for whatever reason, probably because I only have 5,000 subscribers, I don't know. But he won't reach out to me, or at least he hasn't got back to me yet. Maybe after Christmas he'll reach out. I don't know. I've reached out to him on Twitter. If any of you are watching this video, tweet out to Richard Hart. Ask him to have me on. I'd love to. And maybe it's because I don't come on camera. I don't know. There could be any number of reasons. Maybe he's busy getting bigger names and more Bitcoin OGs, and I get that. I can appreciate that. But Richard Hart, if you're watching this, I want to go on your channel. I want to talk to you about Hex because I do have some questions about Hex. Boxmining, just epic fail. Epic fail. Let me know what you think down below. First of all, did you know who Boxmining was before this video? If not, hey, I just told you about a great YouTuber. I unsubscribed. Maybe you want to subscribe. I will subscribe again. It won't be today. I'll give it a few weeks and I'll go check out his channel and see what he's up to. The crazy thing is to hear him talk about scam, and he was promoting cloud mining in the beginning, and today so many people consider cloud mining scams. I mean, it's kind of the pot calling the kettle black. Bitcoin is Hexcoin is far more concrete and far more transparent than any cloud mining operation ever was, including Genesis, which is the one that he used to promote, to their credit. Again, I don't own Hex coins. I don't necessarily love the project per se, but when someone calls it an outright scam, I think that's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what your thoughts are down in the comment on this whole Richard Hart thing. Leave a comment down below. If you haven't already done so, hit that subscribe button. Give me a thumbs up. And by the way, if you're still watching this video and you want to earn Bitcoin passively, then go down in the bottom of the description, click on my cryptocurrency passive profit strategy newsletter. Go subscribe to that newsletter. I'm putting together an entire playlist on how I'm earning about $7 in Bitcoin passively using the Cryptotab Browser. And I'm earning that about every 4 to 5 days, just passively. I'm earning it. My biggest withdrawal, I think to date I've made about $600 just in Bitcoin, just using the Cryptotab Browser. My goal is by next year to do about 6,000 to 10x that. And I've got a full plan that I'm putting together in my cryptocurrency passive profit strategy newsletter. In the course, I'm preparing a course now that I'm going to release to the newsletter. So you need to be on the newsletter to get access to the course. That's what I'm trying to say. So make sure, don't just subscribe to the channel and hit that bell notification, but also go down and click on that link for my cryptocurrency passive profit strategy newsletter. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. And what are your thoughts on box mining, Richard Hart, etc.? Let me know down in the comments.